Happy Saturday, everybody. It's Twanna here, your anxiety coach. And I am popping in on a Saturday to talk about two things that really gave me a run for the money. So if you don't mind, I'm going to take a second here and trying to find the video so I can share it with my group. So just hold on a moment if you don't mind. So, like I said, I'm Twanna, and I am an anxiety coach. And I like to call myself a recovering people pleaser and a recovering perfectionistic, professional, if I can get the word out, perfectionistic tendencies. That was me. Everything had to be perfect. And also a recovering procrastinator. But we're really working on the procrastinator part. And so if you're like me and you struggle with social anxiety, you know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to perfectionism and procrastination. I have always felt like since I was a kid that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good as everybody else. And part of that was, growing up poor and all of that. But even when my parents became middle class, I always felt I wasn't good as my classmates. I wasn't good as the girls around me. I wasn't as good as the students around me. I wasn't as good as the college students around me. I just had this hang up that, I wasn't as good as everybody else. And so, of course, that caused the anxiety level to go up. And so I decided that, well, I'm not good as everybody else, but what I do, it will be perfect. And you know the cycle, because perfect is really never perfect. And you never get perfect, but you keep spinning your wheels to be perfect. And this just made me miserable, and unbeknownst to me, it made, when I had to supervise people, it made them miserable too, because everything they gave me had to be perfect. Everything that I did had to be perfect, but there's no such thing as perfect. And so then you raise your level of anxiety, like doing this video, everything around me had to be perfect. Yes, the lighting has to be perfect. The setting has to be perfect. I should look perfect. And along the way, I realized from a good coach that done is better than perfect. And it is just so true. It is better to be done with something than for it to be perfect. But that was a long journey, to go from being a perfectionist to being, done instead of being perfect. But if you have anxiety, you know what that means. Because if you get a number of tasks, a number of things you have to do, and you want all of them to be perfect, what do? Well, if you're like me, you procrastinate. Well, if you're like me, first of all, you put a lot of things on your plate, because if I can do more things and make more people happier, then I will be somebody and people will like me. And so I pile up all these things on my plate. Then I want them all to be perfect, and I can't get perfect. So then I go to the other P. I procrastinate. And then I feel horrible when I procrastinate, because I've got this long list of things to do, but I'm procrastinating and putting them off and putting them off and putting them off. And whatever I do, I want it to be perfect. But then it causes me to procrastinate, which causes my anxiety to rise, which means that now I'm really not as good as other people. Now I'm really not perfect, because I'm sure if everybody else had to do this, then they'd have it done. And here I am still trying to get it done. Okay. So the perfectionistic procrastination loop can go round and around. And so what you have to do to get off that is, like I said before, understand done is better than perfect. And where I really learned this lesson was my PhD, because every word I wanted to be perfect. Every calculation I wanted to be perfect. Every page I wanted to be perfect. And I had several people. I had a coach, and actually had two coaches. And so my last coach said, Twanna, a done dissertation is better than a perfect dissertation. And so I listened to that and I finally said, okay, you're right. and got it all done. I went through my committee. Everybody signed off. They conferred, and I was good. The last thing I had to do was push the button to publish my dissertation. And you know what happened? Week 1 went by. Couldn't push the button. Week 2 went by. Couldn't push the button. Week 3 went by. Couldn't push the button. Dissertation's done. You know, I've went through and I've read and I've read and I've read. Dissertation is done. Dissertation committee, happy. Me, procrastinating because I know it's not perfect. I know I've missed something. And finally, I took a deep breath and said, done is better than perfect. Push the button and sent it in. Now, I'll be honest with you, the first person who found a mistake in my dissertation was my dad. So, but you know what? It wasn't the end of the world. My dissertation is not the only one that had mistakes in it. But I learned from that, done is better than perfect. Because here I spent 4 weeks trying to make this dissertation perfect before I pushed the button to publish. Wasn't perfect. My dad, he has a high school diploma. He found the first mistake. I have a PhD. I didn't see it. But you know, so what? The dissertation was done. My PhD was finished. That journey was over. And speaking of journeys, I decided to become an anxiety coach because I wanted to help women, you know, free themselves of that vicious cycle of perfectionism and procrastination, just that vicious, I'm not good enough, I can't do this and I can't do that, because actually you can. You know, if I got over it and I'm recovering, I like to say I'm recovering because what? I'm not perfect. I get it. I am not perfect. And I don't need to be perfect. I just need to get done. I need to do what I need to do when it's supposed to be done and not perfect. Okay. So if you're struggling with, you know, the procrastination and the perfectionism thing, or if you have anxiety and this is your thing, drop me a comment below in the video or reach out to me by Facebook Messenger. I would love to chat with you a little bit just to see where you are. Okay, and see what you need help with and see how I can help you get there. But again, done is better than perfect. I thank everybody out there for watching, and you have a great